Well, let's do roll call. Let's do roll call and we'll know.
No, but do we know they're not coming?
So meeting is called to order at 4:05.
If he was a junior, he didn't
Right,
graduate.
no, he's out.
That's
All right, committee members, Mayor Pro Tem Julio Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Laura. Todd Parton. Are you Todd today?
Yep. Ashley Starr, City of Beaumont.
Economic Development Manager Kyle Warsinski.
I'm here.
Oh, he's a man.
Can we make that a little bit longer next time?
I got a title.
I totally removed the titles, but that didn't go well.
Good, how are you?
Bernie Bellin.
Here.
Bertha Barraza. Terrence Davis is not here. Randy Harris.
Here.
Member Jennifer Higgins is here. Member Mike McGraw.
Here.
Member Bob Moran.
Here.
Kimberly Stars. Member Kathleen Dietrich. And Dylan Odell. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, did everybody get a chance to read the agenda? Can I get approval? Adjustments?
No adjustments.
All right. I need a motion to approve, right? No? Okay. No public are present. All right, approval of minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes dated April 11th, 2018 and May 9th, 2018.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Updated projects from city staff.
No, he's the manager.
Economic Development Manager, Kyle Warsinski.
Poor guy.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, I will have Nicole remove our titles. I asked her to remove it, and she said she'll take it off, but that didn't go well. Major updates on projects that you'll see out in the city right now is I talk about it every time, which is Potrero. You can see the progress. Rob probably passed it on his way here.
I did.
So you can see that.
Yeah, they're doing the center.
Yeah, they're doing the center, so they'll start doing the actual structures in the ground and starting driving of piles and all that fun stuff, and then you're gonna see the decking start after that. So.
Quick note on that.
Mm-hmm.
As they're doing the construction out there, there was a 15-mile detour that they're gonna put in place while they close down the freeway to put in the decking and different aspects of the construction. And they actually changed that, and they're gonna be utilizing a crossover lane similar to the 10 freeway when they did that project
Right.
in the Ucaipa Redlands area.
Right.
So the freeway will remain open with a crossover lane, so you're not gonna be seeing a full freeway shut down, which was the original plan. So that's good news for really everyone. You don't have to take that major detour.
Right. Thank you.
But it will take a little bit longer because it'll be one lane either direction, but know that that is much better than going 15 miles out through
Out of your way.
what, 79 is what it was?
Yeah, they're taking you
Yeah.
79 out to Gilman Springs and then coming all the way back
correct.
around to
So-
the 60, which is like not a safe road to begin with. So
No.
How long is that gonna be for if it's single lane?
they anticipated only closing down the freeway 2 to 4 times throughout the project, so it should be minimal.
Oh, good, excellent.
So yeah, won't be that bad.
Okay.
And then the commercial center is going along nicely down there on 2nd Street and 1st Street. So the Panera Bread actually looks like a building now. And then Sonic is starting to break ground out there as well, and I think the car wash is moving. So we're seeing that. There's the shopping center next door that's actually going to Planning Commission next meeting for a parking variance. So some of the uses that they've put in there are a little bit more intensive than just general retail. There's a little bit more food and some other uses that weren't contemplated in the original specific plan. And looking at our parking ordinance, it's a little bit outdated. So it has certain parking requirements per use that probably made sense in the early 2000s when it was adopted. But in the research that staff's done so far, there's a lot of cities that have updated their parking requirements, and now ours is a little bit obsolete. And normally we would just go back and update our code to reflect the new standards, but the property developers are anxious to close escrow on it, and they want to do so faster than like a 60 or 90-day turnaround for an ordinance change. So that's why they're going to Planning Commission for a parking variance. And then once we complete our zoning update, we'll obviously be putting some of these new new parking requirements into the code update. So that'll be going, because of their urgency on the closing of the property, we should be having a second Planning Commission meeting this month. So Planning Commission was last night, and the second meeting will actually be on the 26th, if anyone cares to come to that meeting.
The planning commission still shy?
I think
Wasn't there a vacancy?
there was, but I believe City Council appointed someone to fill that vacancy, so they're 5 strong again.
Cool.
What's the name of that shopping center?
That would be the San Gorgonio Village specific plan. It's the one that was part of Kohl's and the other 2 vacant parcels. So that's all approved. Kohl's built before the recession, and the rest of the center didn't get off the ground. So
And now
we're hoping at getting off the ground this year on that center.
Yeah, I went by there today, right next to Kohl's.
Mm.
They had Diana was going, what is that? They had a machine, I guess it was for drilling, for impact report, or I'm not sure what it was for, but they were working on it, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. What's gonna go right next to Kohl's?
It could be it's either retail, it could be an entertainment venue, so like maybe a movie cinema,
Oh, that'd be
but I can't guarantee any of those things at this time. I know what we're talking to them about, but none of that stuff's set in stone.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
And then there'll be a restaurant pad kind of near the corner, patty corner from like the Farmer Boys.
Yeah.
What else do we have? The sewer rate increase is scheduled to go to the very next council meeting, so that is on Tuesday. So I think we've talked about that one at length, and obviously the city's under requirements and a certain timeline to do improvements at the sewer treatment plant, as well as build a desalter and a brine plant. So the sewer rate increase that's being proposed on Tuesday gets our sewer rates for monthly customers in line with the ability to pay back the debt that we need to issue to build these facilities by 2020. So.
Yeah, I've been getting some questions about that sewer rate increase,
Mhm.
that it's illegal, and you see all these, I mean, is it illegal? I mean, what they're doing? I don't know. How do we answer that question?
Well, if you ask me, it's not illegal because we wouldn't be doing it if it was illegal.
Right.
So we as staff, as professionals, have gone through the process. We've hired a consultant to perform the rate study and put it together. Our legal staff has reviewed it extensively, and we have done everything as required by law to comply with the rate increase process.
I think
So-
the problem you see, if I may, is that people confuse the utility fee with taxes, and it is not a tax. And taxes would have to go to the public for a vote.
Oh,
And this
so
is not a
that's-
tax,
yeah.
it's a utility fee, and out there's misinformation that this is a tax, and we've 1,000 times said that it is not a tax, it's a utility fee, and by law, we are following exactly the way we're supposed to.
Good.
So,
Yeah, I figured that. I
Yeah.
just figured, what is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I know how to answer. Okay, that's good.
And we
Thank you.
do have Q&A answers on our website that are they're gathered from the 2 community meetings we held earlier this year.
Right.
So the different issues that were brought up and misconceptions about it were addressed. So all those answers are on the front page of our website, along with the presentations from both of those meetings, and the rate notice and the rate study and all of that. So it's right on the website. Actually, when you go on there, it's scrolled across the home page. The very first thing is information about the rate.
Okay.
So.
We gotta know how to answer some of these.
That's all the
Thank
updates that I have tonight.
Okay. Next,
One question real quick. When is the Oak Valley Parkway light system supposed to start? I know I've seen the signs up there, but that don't.
No,
mean
I
a whole
think
lot.
we hired the contract. Hired the
They awarded
contractor.
the contract and the contractor, so it should be moving, and they're supposed to be done by the fall, so. I think they're probably just doing right-of-way things with Caltrans, or just finalizing that part of it
They'll have
first.
their pre-construction meetings and get all the utilities involved and so forth, and then they'll have a whole staging and mobilization period. And then they'll get off the ground and put up some lights.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Beaumont Avenue across from the sports park. What is all of that?
Oh, yeah,
going
we
in?
get that question a lot. That's a good question. And my response to that question every time is it's not as cool as I wish it was. So, someone told me it was gonna be a Frugo's, and then someone else told me it was
Cool.
a Trader Joe's, and I'm like,
that would have been wonderful.
the San Gorgonio Pass Water Agency, which is the gentleman that came and spoke, he's the wholesaler of the water within this region. They purchased the property and are building recharge basins very similar to the ones that Beaumont Cherry Valley already has.
Gotcha. And a Frugos?
Yeah.
They haven't asked for one. I don't think they're putting one there.
Throw some there.
I think they're gonna build a deck on top of the ponds and build a tower on it.
Oh, hey,
There you, now you're talking.
watch out, people are gonna think you're being serious. Any other updates, any other questions? Okay. Item C, discussion of economic development committee goals. These are things that we've been talking about for a long time. On here are our vision statement and our goals that we had laid out. This is just a nice little repeat to keep us focused. Our task, our attraction and retention program, partner with chamber to provide resources to businesses, intro to new business program, and the summer internship program, which are all things that we're still working on, but not really.
We're gonna, I'm gonna go speak to the chamber. They've asked me to go speak to them on Tuesday. So I'm gonna go there, I think at 4 o'clock at their chamber board meeting. It'll probably be like a 20-minute thing because I have to be back by closed session for city council, so. But I was able to fit that in my schedule. So maybe we'll have an update from either myself or Randy at the next meeting on what's accomplished at that board meeting. That's all I got for that item.
Let's move on to item D, the local business survey update.
Sure. So, if you were at the last meeting, you got your picture taken and you got your ID card and your list of businesses to go out and solicit surveys from. Everyone's received the electronic copy of the survey, as well as the leave behind and then the revised leave behind. So throw away the first one that had the formatting error. I blame Ashley.
I believe that.
And
All
so
blame
use
each other.
use the new one, and then like tonight, Mike and Rob, they'll have their pictures taken, and then they'll get ID cards. And then if you have any questions on that program, go ahead and shoot those to me or give me a call during normal business hours. But I'll leave the rest of the time to allow the committee to kind of talk about their experience with it, what's been working well with the process, what's working not so well. Because I knew that when we started this process, there was going to be some pushback or hesitancy or things that don't go so well.
Right.
I just didn't want to scare you all that that's what was going to happen.
Aw, thanks, Kyle.
Because when you do these business retention and expansion programs, sometimes the best response you get is just stay out of my business, and that's perfectly fine. That's a valid response. Just sometimes you're not necessarily ready to hear that unless you're someone like Rob and myself that have heard it a couple times before. So I think Bertha, I wish she was here, but yeah, she called me one time and was like, this one person doesn't want to do it. I'm like, that's fine. Just I don't understand why. I explained it the right way. And I'm like,
Poor Bertha.
it has nothing to do with your presentation. I'm fairly sure it was solid. You're not getting docked points. We're not grading on the process.
Getting a B minus.
Yeah,
Come
but
on,
I
think
felt
about
really
the world
bad
she comes
about
from.
it.
That's exactly what she expects.
Man. So I've gone out and done probably 6 or 7 of the ones on my list. I can share with you that the first one I went into is a business I'm very familiar with. I know the owners, and it was like pulling teeth to get in there.
Really?
So the secretary is very good at what she does, which is screening out the CEO from anyone on this planet.
Yeah.
Yes.
But eventually I got through and I sat down with them and we had a good 25-minute conversation that had nothing to do with the survey because he simply wanted to vent about all the things the city had done to that business in the past. And I don't think that's a problem nor an issue. What I told him is I'm glad he can sit here and let me know the things that the city did not help them with or the city has done to them that was wrong, because he hadn't talked to someone from the city in over 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So me just being there, allowing him to vent, he realized that the people that did him wrong before aren't here. He now can open up a conversation with the city if he feels the need to, and that we're trying to do things much differently than the past administration. So I think by the end of the time, we got through the survey after that, but it took 20 minutes of
Venting.
getting beat up
Yeah.
on, and it was rightfully so. I mean, he was making valid points that I didn't know these things occurred, but he sure was part of it for a good 10 or 15 year period. The interesting part about it is his company changed the way they did things because of that, and now the company is, I would say, 10 to 100 times more successful because of those changes that occurred because of how the city may or may not have mistreated them. So interesting end result. So that's my piece. I think that will I've already been forewarned it may happen a couple other times when I go out there. Just
I
because
think
of the people that
especially
I
for
put
you.
on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll leave it up to the rest of the committee members to provide insight on what's working or not, so
Yeah, what do you got?
go for it.
Julio.
Well, I find it, so my process has been to call them up, to speak with, and a few of them are wrong, so we have to
Yeah.
fix that, and that's expected. And see when they have time, so I've been having difficulties, sometimes they're not the ones that wanna do it, they want their partner to do it, or they want the manager to do it instead of the owner, and
Yep.
that kind of stuff, which is good. And then we've been setting up times, and that's been the biggest problem, is trying to find out when they have time. Cause I'm really trying to push the face-to-face.
Right.
I'm contemplating whether, we might be able to do it over the phone if it's running into an issue. But I'm trying everything not to give them an option of that.
Yeah.
So I've been asking, and so far, everybody's been okay. I've only had one that'll get back to me, and we'll see how that goes. But I've only done one. I have some set up for Friday, but the one I have done, 15 minutes of venting. They had also had some issues in the past, and it was pretty much 15 before we even started the survey of what's happened, this is how I felt, so forth. And that's good, because I didn't know some of that stuff like you that was going on or what had happened.
Yeah, I know.
So
Find out
it's
a lot.
interesting to hear what's gone on to some of these businesses. So we took their concerns and wrote that down. We might need a bigger concern section on the paper. But
It's an extra piece of paper.
That's dangerous.
So that's kind of where I've started, and then as we kind of, as they get more comfortable, and knowing that you're here to help them, then I say, okay, well, let me ask you a few things, and then I've gone through some of the survey, and then they'll kind of go off topic, and I'm just gonna let them go with where they wanna go. I'm not gonna just sit there and go through each one. Although I noticed that I can't type on tablet worth a darn, and I can't fill out the form as we're going, so I've been just taking notes and then going back and filling out the form and doing it. So I don't know if that's double work or not, but you might be thankful that my handwriting will be better.
If it works for you. Yeah.
So, but it's been encouraging. It's been encouraging. So I'm curious to get more through the list. And like I said, it's been trying to set up times to go, and we'll just see how it goes. I don't know if anybody wants to answer when they come up, whether they've just gone in cold turkey and say, here I am. I don't know if that's worked for anybody.
I didn't try doing that. I tried to call and schedule a time.
That's what I figured would be
That's
best.
respectful.
And
Yeah, I
that's
think
what's
especially knowing when people are busy, and yeah, I think that's gonna be the best thing.
Well, one of them I did cold turkey because the secretary screened me on the phone. And then I met with the other businesses that was right next door, who's actually owned by one of the brothers. So I was like, well, is Mike over at the other place today? And he goes, well, you didn't hear it from me that he may be there. But he also told me good luck getting through the secretary. So then I went over and dropped off my card and I said, just let him know that I was here. Give me a call when he has time. So then he called 30 minutes later, which was funny. So.
And I might do
Secretaries
that.
are well trained to
I
do
might
that.
do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
If the call thing's not working, I might go in, introduce, and then hand them my card. And
Right.
that might work too. So that's kind of another option. So far, so good.
Yeah, my years of experience with cold calling businesses and that kind of stuff is if you're not getting any response, it's exactly that, is go in, not with the expectation of getting
Right.
the survey, but getting an appointment.
Mhm.
That, hey, you know, if you got time now, great. If not, can we at least make an appointment for when we can? And you'll typically get a lot more success from that.
I think so. So that's my.
Do you introduce yourself as city councilman or?
I do.
Tom?
I just say I'm councilman, I'm part of the economic development committee, and that I tell them what the committee is. I'm trying to focus on that.
Right.
I don't want to really bring in some I'll get more. But
Like
that's
another
okay.
15 minutes.
You know, I know, that's fine too. I want to make sure they know what the purpose is, so I
Right.
think it's working.
Randy, what have your experiences been so far?
Well, I started, same as Julio here, making the phone calls, and I got a lot of resistance saying, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. So I says, well, we can either drop one off or I can email it to you. So a lot of the businesses, as you can see in the blue, I got a lot of email addresses, I emailed them out. I always try and do the face-to-face first, obviously. And so I met with Emilio over at All Purpose. I was talking to him for like 15, 20 minutes before we even got to the survey. Then we finally got the survey, and he vented and said, yeah, I understand, he's ready to retire and all this. And so I had a couple people, or one person that was not interested, didn't want nothing to do with the survey. And I said, we're not here to beat you up, we're just here to assist you and help you. And so I dropped off. Then after that, I went to some of the businesses after I emailed, and I said, okay, let's see if they got the survey done. They didn't get it done. So I went to Kyle, and Kyle gave me a bunch of the surveys, blank ones, so I dropped them off physically. And I said, okay, here's my number, give me a call when you get done, and I'll come back and we can deal with it then. So overall, it's been pretty good. Enlightening, very enlightening. We have one client, it's over by the old Stater Brothers, and we're gonna need an extra piece of paper on that one. Transients, and I mean, people are complaining, you know, I don't want them out in my business. My clients are going away, they don't even come to my business anymore, so you're gonna hear some of that. But it is enlightening. It's kind of cool, actually. It's kind of it.
Let the minutes reflect that member Kimberly Starr came in at 4:27. Welcome.
Sorry, my apologies.
Rob?
No update on my end.
Huh?
No update on my end.
Okay.
Rob wasn't here last time, so he didn't
that's
have
true.
a card, so he couldn't go out. But he will get one this
He
time.
has a hall pass.
I had I had one of my secretaries help me fill out all the papers for me. That way I didn't have to do it. So she filled out all
Really?
printed
Why
them
did you
up
make
and
that?
filled out the heading of all the businesses, and then I took them. Initially, I didn't have the leave behind, so a couple that I tried to visit earlier on, I didn't have the leave behinds printed out, so I just left my name.
Sure.
I don't want to leave my regular business card.
Right.
And told them that we'd be back, and then I actually did a good one today, and I did just walk in, told them I was with the City of Beaumont Economic Development Committee and just had a few questions. They'd be interested in helping out, and they were pretty approachable. Their feedback was they'd been in business since '95 and had about 25 employees. When I said part-time, they said 0. When I said volunteers, they said I wish.
Yeah, they all say that. So volunteer, I'm not sure what we were going
But
for
I
on
think,
that one.
well, the way I told him, I said, I think one thing we were thinking about was with the student, Dylan, we may look towards some type of internship. So that could be a good opportunity.
Or if you go to a nonprofit, they're going to have the volunteer answer.
Right.
I have a couple that I know have volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
He did say that he was born here. What else? As far as how the city could assist, he felt like he hadn't had any problems, that things were good. His biggest obstacles were state regulations, and just state regulations in general frustrate him. He does plan to expand. He wouldn't consider leaving Beaumont, but would consider leaving the state of California. Homeless is another thing that's bad, and that's because it's up by the wrecking yard. So I think it was a good opportunity, though. I'm looking forward to doing the rest of them this month. So.
Yeah, I had one that was concerned about the state regulations, like you said, and he's ready to leave out of Beaumont, or out of the state.
Right.
You know, because he's getting ready to retire, and he says it depends on who's elected in the governor.
Right.
That's going to play a big part. So, but yeah, state regulations.
Yeah.
Is it personnel regulations or payroll?
I didn't get
I think he was-
in depth with him, but
It'd be interesting to know.
But he says it's been going on, an ongoing thing for years. So it's California.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I threw down the gauntlet last meeting, like I was gonna be all gung-ho and get my whole entire list done, and I got so slammed with work that I didn't even do one yet. But before next meeting,
What? Not
it's on.
one?
I know.
You could have one, Jim.
I know. If I was on my own list, I'd have it filled out. But no, I apologize. That's totally on me.
So it must be these two chairs right here. I'm late and I didn't do my assignment, so my apologies. We're closing fiscal year and I'm barely breathing.
The one thing I wanted to throw out too is, again, I haven't, because again, not being here, I don't have my card, so I haven't been out to that, but I spent 20-something years cold calling businesses in bank world. The big thing too, if you do want to cold call and walk in the door, make sure you understand when's the downtime for those businesses.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not when you think they are in a lot of cases. You think, oh, early in the morning they haven't gotten a lot done or whatever. As a short example, restaurants, it's after lunch during Monday through Thursday. Don't even talk to them on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Don't go in first thing in the morning, because that's all the prep work, even though you think, oh, well, the restaurant doesn't open for 2 hours. Worst time, they're on a skeleton crew, trying to rip out prep work and all that kind of stuff. You gotta find those down times for them when they're, just catching up some paperwork, and a lot of times then, they will, yeah, I can take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we'll sit down and talk. But make sure you understand what that is. If there's questions, if it's emailed Kyle, he can forward it out to everybody or whatever, and I can certainly give advice, or one of us knows, I'm sure, through that, but it's not, most of the time, it's not the time you would expect. But when you understand how those businesses work, then you'll have a much easier time walking in and saying, hey, you got 10 minutes, and I'll be like, yeah, actually I do. But if you walk in at any of the other ones, and I don't want to talk to you, go away, leave me alone.
Right.
And then the problem with that is you've created a little bit of that, why is this guy bothering me all the time,
Right.
attitude that they kind of shut down towards you too. So anyhow, just kind of know that, look at it. If you call in and ask, try to get the appointment, and you're getting that gatekeeper, maybe ask that question, when's the slow times for you guys? And, then you can, they'll a lot of times slip and tell you, depending on the quality, because you're not asking to talk to them.
Right.
So they're trained to know you
Quick-
can't talk to them,
quick
no, you
answer.
can't talk to them. Hey, when are you guys usually really slow around there? When are your employees usually got some time down? And a lot of times they'll let that out. So anyhow, that's all I got.
Okay. And you're stepping in, so
Kyle just gave me a list of places to visit, so.
congrats.
I assigned, I asked her nicely if she would take Dylan's, because I had his on there.
That makes
Because
sense.
Mike said he graduated, so I'm gonna believe him. So I don't think I was willing to see his resolve and whether he would come after a week after he graduated.
Right.
I wouldn't have either if I were him, so. To see his dedication level.
He's like, I am no longer a student.
Yeah, if so, I was gonna give him an internship for him, and be like, you wanna come back tomorrow?
So do you hear that, Dylan? See what you're missing out on?
Because he's watching,
Uh-huh.
for sure.
He's totally home. He misses us.
So, I think there's good feedback that went around the room. I think from what I've heard, I think the most efficient way of doing it, at least in my experience, is the person-to-person thing. So I think one of the reasons, Randy, you might not be getting the responses because you gave them the out on the email. So if you give them the out, and I think Mike talked about this, if you give them the out of not meeting person in person, a business owner or a manager will always take that because that to them is easy, and you can easily just take it and throw it away, or easily just delete the email, and then out of sight, out of mind. Where if you schedule a time with them and you go, look, all I really need to do is 15 minutes with you, sit down, talk about how the city can possibly assist you, or to know how you and your business are doing here, so we can gauge your level of success. They will probably find some time to do it with you. It may be in a couple weeks or something like that. But I think that's probably the most effective way on getting the responses. If you're looking to get 95% of the ones completed, I think you'll have to probably do them in person.
The other thing I was going to say with that, a lot of times you're going to show up and they're going to say they forgot. That being said, they'll that you'll still get it because they feel guilty about it. They may reschedule, but if you show up and but that's the point, is getting that appointment, because when you show up for that appointment, even if they're not real serious about it, they're figuring hopefully they don't even come. Once you show up, that guilt comes in, and then they'll meet with you.
Yeah. And after the first 3 phone calls I made, I realized that I probably sounded like a telemarketer or a cold caller. So I incorporated a couple of jokes at the very beginning of my call, so that they understood I was not trying to sell them a $40,000 copy machine that they didn't need. And as soon as the person on the phone realized that, one, I was actually a real person from the United States of America, and two, I wasn't trying to sell them anything, you had a little bit different conversation once you broke down that initial barrier. Because the person answering the phone, unless you have their direct line, and I'm pretty sure these numbers are not a direct line to the CEO, is you're going to have to break down that barrier. And the way to do so with me is at least throwing out something that secretary would think is funny, versus just saying, oh yeah, I really need to talk to them. And if you're vague, that makes that secretary worried, because they were trained that they don't let through a sales call for copy machines to whoever's in charge.
Yeah, I kind of made it more of a positive thing. We're here to help and assist all of our local businesses, so,
Yeah, but so is the guy that wants to do home repair on my house. He also wants to help and assist.
Right.
That $40,000 copy machine worked out pretty good for me, though. She was able to print all those up for me, so.
Except for you didn't do double-sided, dude.
No, she did
Does it do double-sided?
We did double-sided on this. I should have had her print these out for me too. She would have done those double-sided.
By the way, Bernie, we'll all be leaving our list with you at the end of the night.
I know.
Or some assistance.
I'm fairly jealous.
yeah, I know, that's nice.
The one other thing is that is one of the pieces that helps with the cold call if you come in. Because then they know, one, you're, as you say, real life human being, not telemarketing. Even if you don't get the appointment, when you call back later, you could say, hey, I left some information last week. I know you didn't have some time. Can I get that? It at least disarms that, okay, this wasn't some telemarketer, because, oh yeah, I remember seeing that on my desk.
Right.
Even if the secretary wasn't there or wasn't able to talk to you. That little bit of walking in, leaving a card, leaving a leave behind, doing something, and then following that with a call that says, hey, I was in last Thursday at around 1, or whatever that time frame was, will make a big difference in being able to get through that gatekeeper.
Yeah, and that leave behind is a great tool.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
So I'm in a very unpopular line of work. As a fundraiser, I ask people for money. People don't always want to see this face. And one thing that I teach all of my new fundraisers is that you're not asking for yourself. I'm not asking people to give money to me personally, and I kind of take the same approach for things like this. I'm not asking them to give me personal information that I'm going to use somehow in my own life. And kind of when I put that barrier up, it's a lot easier for me to make that ask. But with fundraising, it's the same thing, is that people avoid my appointments and avoid my calls and avoid me like crazy. So one thing that I generally do is I just show up in person first. I avoid phone calls because they're just going to hang up on me. And I find out when would be a good time to come back, and I actually show up when I say I'm going to show up. And I mean, who can resist this charming face? Right. But that seems to work for me. So I kind of skip the phone call, email thing and just go straight for in person. So just a tip from somebody who's in an unpopular line of work.
One other thought I had on this, we all have stuff by area, correct?
For the most part,
Okay.
I tried to do that, but there's some,
Right, but I mean,
I
in
think yours,
generally-
you may have some areas like up on, like Oak Valley Parkway, and then you may
Right.
have another area.
My point being with that is, if you do have a successful piece with one, and that guy really wants to talk, and they're super helpful, they probably know their neighbors on either
Right.
side, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Ask them to help you get in the door.
True.
Right.
Like, hey, I've been trying to talk to Joe for the last week, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you mind
Definitely,
helping
if
me
you're
out
in a
with that?
shopping center, you should have all the other ones in the shopping center,
Yeah.
unless I gave it to Dylan, because I gave him all the subways. So,
I did a Subway over there.
it's all the same owner, so it's easy.
Okay,
Try to
that
make
makes-
it easy.
that makes
so
more sense.
Does he really like
You do, he likes
Subway?
He wasn't
sandwiches?
like walking in the lion's den and never wanted to do anything with us again.
It's like, geez, must really love Subway.
Okay, do we have any more comments about our local business survey update?
I have one question. Did we verify July?
I think you're right. I think when we did our, I don't have the formal copy in front of me. I guess I can go check real quick. But did we not agree that we were dark in July?
Sounds right.
Last year, we were dark in July and December, correct?
Yeah.
I think we
Or
were
was it
the,
another month?
I think
It
we're
sounds good,
agreeing
but it
right
also
now.
sounds
I thought it was July and December.
I think we
I think
did.
as long as we all agree that, yes, we're gonna get down and get our list done, then
As
yeah.
long as everyone's got
The reason I was asking.
But don't tell Terrence.
The reason I was asking that is,
Yeah, he'll show up. Where is there?
do we want to set, I mean, if we're dark in July, that means we've got 60 days till the next meeting.
Right,
Do we have a goal in place? Like, is that the goal then, basically, to be
Yeah,
through this
these are
entire
Yeah.
list by the 60
Finish.
days?
yeah.
Finished.
Yeah. they're
If you
gonna take
can.
it.
I mean, I don't necessarily have, my list is very long, so I can try to get through them all in 60 days. But
Do we want to set something that
if
I mean,
you
if
would like to set that
at a-
goal,
well, I mean,
at
or
least
at a-
try for it. Go for
At
it.
least
let's
initial
try it.
contact,
Yeah.
at least some, like, touch every single one, whether you get through their door or not, yeah,
No, I think it's a
absolutely.
good goal to set. I mean, if you can make contact and get all of them done within that time period, that's good.
I just think some of us are gonna have easier times, either past experience or whatever than others, and my point
Yeah.
being is, rather than letting it go forever, if somebody's really struggling, I don't want it to go 90 or 120 days when somebody
No.
could have been
No.
helping.
Correct.
Like,
Right.
do we wanna put a window like at 30 days if you're just, hey, these 10, I just can't get through, whatever, and pass them on to the next guy, cause I'm gonna tell you 30 days out, some of us are gonna be,
Or at
Yeah,
least
we'll take
email
it
the
on.
team and say, hey, does anybody have an in with this?
No, I think that's fine.
or do we
And-
wanna wait till the 60 days and then reassess and then on?
No, if you all have the emails I send out to people, and if you want to do, like if Randy, you have problems with 5 of those, and you want to email those 5 out to the rest of the group, or just identify which ones those are to the rest of the group, that's not violating any Brown Act
Okay.
type of thing. Brown Act has to do when we're making like decisions on things or things like that are not on the agenda. But we're all in this process right now where we're performing work on the street, and us talking about that is perfectly fine, because we're not changing any of the rules of the game. We're just simply trying to get the program complete. So if you want to reach out to,
Shifting.
yeah, if you want to shift some of those, or just ask for assistance on those, and if other people want to take those under their wing and give it a shot, I don't think we should have any
We've
problem.
talked that we've had, you know, you may have one that's not calling you back that happens to be her next door neighbor, you know?
Right.
I
No,
do
none of us
have
know
one, I
that
do
till
have
this.
one that's not calling, you're right.
But all of a sudden, one of us will look at it and go, absolutely, I can make a phone call and that'll
Right.
take care of that, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Send a
So
text.
rather than us beating
No,
our
it's a
head
good
against the
idea.
wall, fighting it, if there's one of those, you know, obviously we have a lot of people here that,
Yeah, cause somebody's got
Come from
to know
different
something
worlds.
here.
Right.
yeah.
And I would also offer, if there's somebody that's shy and that maybe has never done this type of thing before, I'd be more than happy to go with you
Yeah. I'll second that.
and just
Okay, you
be backup. Seriously, that's, I mean, it's not easy the first couple of times.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, I'd offer the same thing. I mean, did you say you asked for
Money,
donations? And
yeah.
I was a money manager, right, for years and years, so, hey, give me your life savings to manage. It's a hard call, but, so.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. I'm gonna just gloss over the topics for future agendas, because we do know what our marching orders are for the next 60 days. 1, enter a new business program. 2, business of the month program. 3, potential auto mall sites and developments. 4, downtown beautification and facade contest with awards. 5, local apprenticeship program to be developed in the pass area. Let's go ahead and go around the room for committee member reports, and then we will be done. Julio.
Okay, so, look, I actually have a question I want to pose to you while we're here. The council discussed last meeting a color change on one of our major businesses in town. And it got more of a discussion than I thought it was going to get. So my question is, how do we look as from the business point of view, from an economic development committee point of view, about, because basically when we're looking at colors of businesses that are changing, we're looking for uniformity, because we want to maintain uniformity in like a shopping center. But at the same point, as businesses change, they want to rebrand themselves, and they want to try different marketing strategies to help them, with the business. And if they're a major corporation, it might be a corporate decision. And then it becomes a little difficult when you come to the city level, because we have our rules and they want to do something that poses an issue with. So I just want to ask what you think about businesses that want to change their look, that are in let's say a shopping center that's uniform. Because some of these shopping centers, they 12, 13 years ago that they started up, the colors changed. So I didn't have an issue with the change of color, but some of the members did, and I was just kind of wondering from a different opinion what you guys think about changing colors of businesses within a uniform.
Can you be a little more specific in terms of?
Yeah, Walmart wants to change from brown to gray, and it created an issue because everything is brown there, and
You're talking about painting the exterior of the building?
Yes, they want to change.
Not their signage.
Well, they wanted
The signage separately, but they're also talking about the actual building itself.
facade would change from like a gray earth tone to more of, like a brown or a beige earth tone to a gray, and then they wanted to accent out the very middle of the building where the Walmart logo is, and have that blue behind that, and then a little pop out near the corner as a bright orange to denote where their online pickup area was, which is kind of like a branding thing. It's their attempt to try to rival the Amazon pickup locations. So that's what Mayor Pro Tem
They're leasing the
Martinez.
building,
I think they may own that one.
they own it, and the rest of the center, they've sold off pads, or they're,
They are the only anchor, so they're as wide as the property is. There is a Farmer Boys out in the front, and that's it on their
there's a
side.
Walmart, and then a pad or two in front.
One pad.
And that's it.
That's it.
But it does match the other center.
But Home Depot's next door,
And the next
and Home Depot's a beige or a brown, and then you
Separate
have the
center,
Best
though?
Buy Center.
Separate center, yeah.
So who's against it?
CC&Rs or anything like that to
Not
manage
between the
that.
centers, no, all separate ownerships.
The only reason I ask is just because, as council, we don't want to set a precedent of anybody can just do what they want. We
Right.
don't want a lime green building in the middle of something,
Right.
just to kind of throw it off. But at the same time, we don't want to send a unfriendly message to business.
Not willing to work with
Precisely.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was just wondering if you had any comments on that.
My short answer is, I think the fact that they're wanting to do things is a positive. Personally, right? This is a business trying to rebrand and grow and continue to be a piece. Obviously, they're a large anchor. I would say my gut would say, hey, find a way to work with them more than saying a way to do no. But I think, as you said, not having CC&Rs or something across those, being that they're all separate ownership, I don't see in that scenario a reason to say no.
Well, the reason they were concerned from the city point of view is that the original agreement when they came in was this is what it was going to look like. And now that you want to change it, that kind of goes against what you originally said you were going to look like. And that's what was the concern from the city's point of view.
No, I mean,
How long ago was
I
that?
agree.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. How long
Well,
ago was
what-
that?
But this is a decade,
2004.
2 years ago or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2004 is when
Things
Walmart
change.
came in.
Changed.
Yeah.
This is, it's more
He
than
was
10
looking
years.
at
I
me,
mean, you're not
so-
like a year later, like, no, didn't like that, let's go, do, you know.
Try another one.
I didn't do the staff report, nor will
Well, I would assume that when the project was approved, the entitlement, they provided elevations.
Correct.
And at that time, they were a certain color.
That was what was
Right.
approved
But
then,
I-
and now
I
they're
don't
trying to
think
change from
there's
that.
probably any conditions of approval that would prevent them from changing it. Certainly, and I've seen scenarios like that throughout the county where for some reason or another, somebody either wanted a really like a bright purple building for some weird use, or they were upset and they painted it a color that happened at a McDonald's down in Wildemar area many, many years ago. But this seems like it's sort of a shift in their sort of corporate coloration from the earth tone to
They're
the
going
gray
more
seems
of a
to be the
modern
popular
look.
color nowadays
Yeah.
for a lot of things. And I think
Great.
absent any city ordinances, a development agreement that stipulates precisely, I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do to.
I mean, if you want the center to be the same, tell them, fine, do it, but paint the other building. It's one small building. I mean, the cost of them would be minimal. I think that them doing it and, you know, changing the facade and making it new and bright and all that other stuff would probably lead the other two centers to follow suit more than it would be a hindrance, in my opinion.
Right.
I think that
It's a
would
good
cause
point. If
Home
they see
Depot or Best Buy center to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
that one's pretty and shiny and people wanna go there.
Right.
Maybe we need to make ours pretty and shiny so people come here too.
Personally, I love it. I think it's great, and I like seeing this town getting updated and looking more modern. So I'm with you as long as it's not some crazy thing.
Yeah,
Right.
as long as it's not some crazy thing.
Yeah.
Can you
and-
put that in
and it
writing?
needs to
Yeah,
be
Legally.
make sure.
As long as it's not
As
some
long as
crazy
it's
thing.
not
Make new
crazy.
facade that were, as you said, is something reasonable.
Right.
I
Well,
see the only downside being,
Ordinance on that, Kyle, do you require?
On colors?
Yeah. Do you
It-
require them to submit any kind of a minor permit for painting?
No. On any building in the city, we don't have a color scheme. I think the only reason the planning department brought this was because it differed from the specific plan elevations, like you talked about. So it was different, and they felt, in their opinion, that it was a significant change that they didn't want to approve at the staff level. Like 90-something% of the time, city council never sees paint changes. Either they don't have to ask, or we as staff just take care of it. We use our professional judgment, and we take care of it, and we just say, look, it's not a big deal, but in this scenario, the planning department felt that it was important enough to bring the city council for their judgment call on it.
what was the outcome?
I looked at it,
We tabled it because.
Wow, must have been a discussion.
We
Yeah.
tabled it because some people wanted to see the actual colors or.
so I've seen the actual colors.
Wow.
Yeah, I
They
saw
look
it. Because it's hard, sometimes you get different colors on a computer versus what you actually see in the paint.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. I mean, the blue will be noticeable on the building, but
But it's
that's,
Walmart.
that's what
That's
Walmart
awesome.
wants.
Yeah,
to do.
that's cool.
We expect that.
And then the orange, I know some people may not like the orange, but it's not like a
It's the whole
quarter of the
thing,
building.
yeah.
It's like literally this small little space. And to me, if it allows our local Walmart to compete with global Amazon,
Right.
then in my perspective, that's a good thing because we receive the sales tax dollars from the people going there. And if they're able to order things online, pick them up here, and have the city receive some sales tax, and all that cost was some orange paint on a building,
Right.
then I think we should be all for it.
We should
And the
be.
gray to the beige thing, I think that gray is kind of what you're seeing in the industry in 2018. Beige and those earth tone tans are what you saw in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Right.
And you'll see, I think Mike's sentiment is perfect, is you see Walmart who wants to compete.
Right.
They're not interested in going out of business
Right.
like some of the other people. They're interested in rebranding, showing an improved facade, and modernizing what their building looks like. And if Home Depot sees that, they may end up painting their building a modern gray or something like that versus leaving it. They may not, but I don't.
I also think Walmart tends to rebrand before it's an issue.
Yes.
Like, they're
I
doing
agree.
this before, where, no knock on Best Buy, but Best Buy was very reactive in all of the changes they made over the last decade.
Yeah.
They were getting to the point of having to either close their doors or things are gonna, right? Where Walmart is saying, hey, this is what we need to do so that we don't take the hits, and trying to stay ahead of the curve, so.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's, as I say, it's an indicator more than it's a reactive issue. This is them
Being
showing
proactive.
where things are going.
Yeah, I think you may, driving on the freeway, which was the concerns that I heard, I think that you may notice the Walmart because it's different, but I think that when you notice the Walmart because it's different, you might think it looks better than the other ones because it's now a modern tone.
And you're going to pull people off the freeway on their way to Coachella or Stagecoach
sure hope
to
so.
stop
But
there
I know
instead of
that
waiting all the way to Palm Springs.
Our Walmart manager does a phenomenal job at marketing to the people going to those festivals. They have certain orders that they get in advance. I mean, I went and talked to some of the local businesses after those weekends. Like the gas stations saw a 4 times sales for that weekend than they would on a normal weekend.
Sure.
One Pollo had a line like out the door.
Nice.
I was like, well, how'd you guys do this last weekend? And the lady's like, it was insane.
That's a good problem.
That's
She
good.
needed a break,
Let's
but
check
to
it
me, that means that's a good issue to have. So we need to take advantage of those, and if our Walmart looks better, but it's ultimately a call from the city council's perspective. They can choose on this one whatever they can do.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have an issue allowing it. They just had some opinions they wanted to get settled, but I thought I'd ask since that was kind of our thing.
Well, thank you for letting us
Yeah.
share our opinions.
Yeah.
That's
All right, Randy. Do you have a question for all of us, or do you want to give an update on your?
No, go ahead, I'm good.
Okay. Rob?
No, I just want to offer, Kyle more so, I noticed the agenda item on apprenticeships and all that sort of thing. That is probably the hottest topic in the workforce development these days. And it's, historically, it's been something that the trades and the unions have been really good at and kind of pioneered that area. But that's now moving into manufacturing and logistics, and so we're putting a heavy emphasis on apprenticeships at the county's workforce development board. One of the things I was just talking to our folks back at the office is that we'd like to have a greater presence out in the pass area. We've got centers in different locations, so I want to explore the idea of maybe having some staffing out here. Nothing specific, but just trying to see if we can find maybe a place to park ourselves, part-time.
Sure.
So we can make sure we're paying attention to the business community out in this area. I'd like to increase our presence, so the discussion I'd like to have with you, Kyle,
Yeah.
sidebar.
Let's talk about it. We'll see what we can do.
I don't know if, did I report on going to Terrence's superintendent's meeting last month?
I don't think so, no.
So the superintendents, when I went to Terrence's Unity Fair that he had invited us all to, Dr. Judy White, the superintendent, she had put together that Unity Fair, and I went out there as Terrence's guest, and they were looking for discussions like that, things to do that are proactive for the students. So in regards to that boot camp that we've done for the students, I went and offered that to all the superintendents for all the school districts in Riverside County so that we can make it an annual event. And hopefully, currently the way we do it is they come and they get to see what the electricians do. But the idea is that they'd be able to see all the building trades. So right now, I'm working with Dr. White's assistant, and then Terrence is going to help me as well, since he's kind of like my point of contact, to try to make it an annual or twice a year event, and then possibly bring in more of the building trades so that these students will have a better idea of what's available to them, other opportunities besides just college in case they don't know. So that was a good meeting, and hopefully we'll have some progress to move forward on it.
For me, we actually did go to a speaker today that was an economist that was talking about the amount of starts that California has and where we should be. And for the whole state of California, we are only starting enough building for half of what we actually need to be at.
So people keep on talking about, we're going to have this influx of there's going to be too many homes. No, for years and years we stopped building. Now we are finally starting, but in order to get caught up, we are nowhere near where we need to be. It is making homes more expensive. Prices are definitely going up because supply and demand. So just spread the word to anybody who is looking for a home and thinks that there's going to be a nice little dip, that he does not see that happening, at least for the next couple of years. So
What area? In general, or?
in California in general. He did say that still our area and the entire Riverside and San Bernardino counties are the better area to be in, just because there are more homes that are available that are still affordable for families. Median income for all of California to buy a first-time home was $111,000, and in our area is more like $75,000 to be able to afford a first-time home. In San Francisco area was $186,000 to get your first home in that area. That's how much income you have to have in order to get.
And that's an 800 square foot lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Really a
Maybe,
home.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
So interesting stats that we got today, but that's where we stand.
You know what I forgot to say? I don't know how you guys had planned on doing the cold calls, but I know sometimes when I go talk to contractors and they see who I am, usually I go talk to non-union contractors and they know I'm from the union, they probably don't want to talk to me. So being that I was with industry-related individuals, I made sure that I kept it about the city and not about what I do. So I made sure I didn't wear a shirt, but I also got the badge, So that way they see it and I put it around my neck, and at least, I don't have a shirt that says City of Beaumont on it, so at least they could see that. Because I didn't know what was I going to do, pull my badge out and say, here's my badge.
Yeah.
So,
Where'd you get this?
so I just had it around my neck
just
so
came
then
from Kinko's.
at least they could see it. So I just wanted to give you guys that tip in case you guys didn't do it already.
I like that.
Well, it's a busy time at United Way right now. We have our day of action next week, and I'll talk to you guys about that. We've upped our meal packing to 125,000 meals. We've had such awesome response. So if you're interested in coming out, we still have spots available for packing at the Riverside facility. So that's going to be Friday the 22nd next week. Come hang out with me for an hour and a half. You could get opportunity to do every single station. It's going to be super fun. We have food coming here to the Pass area from Riverside Packing. Also, our Abbott facility is packing 110,000 meals. I am so impressed with them. They're so amazing. We scheduled a 5K, so if you guys want to come and run, October 27th, we're going to do Day of the Dead themed at Lake Paris. I'm super excited. We're going to have a good time. Next week is our GEMS Summer Academy. That's a program that we have for 7th grade girls to encourage them to pursue STEM degrees and STEM careers, because we know STEM fields are higher wage earning fields, and only 6% of STEM degrees are awarded to women. It's not a matter of competence or ability, it's a matter of confidence. So this program helps girls gain that confidence that they need, and it models behavior for young women. So we have a panel of successful women that are in STEM fields: scientists, lab technicians, pharmacy, the head of pharmacy for Rancho Springs Medical Facility, the head of medical devices for Abbott, all of these marvelous fields that you wouldn't know anything about as a 7th grader. In fact, I didn't know anything about them until I came to work in this industry. And to see that as a 7th grader and a 13-year-old and hear these women tell these stories of here's how I got to this place and you can do the same thing. We've really seen tremendous impact on these young women's lives. So next week, all week, is the GEMS Summer Academy. If you're interested in seeing it, reach out to me. I'd love to have you there as my guest. We'd love to have you come and see this marvelous work.
Where's it at?
It's in Moreno Valley. It's at one of the schools. Great question. I'll find out.
Send us an email. I'll go.
Awesome. I would love to have you there
Is it during the day?
during the day.
One of our journeymen, she's a 4th generation electrician, IBW member, and she created a platform called Striving Sisterhood or something like that. And her goal is just to same way, because she knows it's hard for a young girl, especially females being more feminine and not perceived as not being able to carry the load as a guy.
Right.
And she's got a tough skin, so she put together this program that she's developing and trying to take it throughout the nation.
Talk to you about that.
And she's trying to reach out to as many females as possible. Maybe I could bring her with me.
That'd be so awesome.
I mean, she's not a scientist or like, you know, those typical
Yeah, but
glamorous
still.
positions, but these girls make over $120,000 a year.
Yeah, it's
so
fantastic. It's
good,
fantastic.
good opportunity for them.
I would love it. I'll give you my card. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
See, that's all.
If you forward the email to Terrence as well, they have a program that goes through, that goes out to the local school, all the parents of local students.
Oh yeah, with
to
Peach
make-
Jar.
to make it
So
more.
GEMS is coming to Beaumont and Banning Unified School District next year. So our girls are going to be participating
My
next year.
question to you is,
Yes.
why particularly just 7th grade?
That's kind of the threshold that we've found where they're able to understand advanced concepts, but they're also young enough to kind of make those decisions. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. We've, through doing this program for the last 5 years, have found that we probably need to start a little bit younger.
So my experience of father of 3 daughters who are very involved in STEM. One of my daughters is currently in Beaumont, has a enrichment class for the month of June. That is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, going into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. 90% of these get missed because they don't know about it until they've missed the eligibility.
Right.
Where if it's multi-year, they will see it, hey, 6th grade missed it, they grab it in the 7th grade year. The things that are 1 year only, I see most of the girls not find out about it until that one friend went,
Right.
told them it was awesome, and the other 30
Yeah.
knew nothing about it.
Yeah. Good point.
So if there's a way to, it's a, you know, communication to reach out issue, or, but that's the, when I hear that 1 year, like, hey, 7th grade, as I say, that's been an experience for me. My daughter applied for a STEM camp that was going into 7th grade. Girls was the only one. I asked 10 of her friends about it. They had no clue. They didn't even know it existed.
And our teachers select our students. We work with the school districts. But I think that's a really excellent point. Like I said, we're looking at extending it to younger ages just to make sure that we catch them while there's still time.
Okay.
Appreciate that, though. Thank you. Dang it.
Committee report, you got anything for us?
Nothing else.
Okay. We heard Kyle talk the whole entire time,
Yep.
so.
I got nothing.
All right. Adjournment of the Economic Development Committee is at 5:08 PM.